I find that Sri Lankan people are very, very nice and caring with elderly people because they have a lot of respect for elderly people. I thought this is a good place to settle because it's a good place to feel safe. Because people are used to interacting with tourists, because there is such a huge Ayurveda tourism, especially from Germany. I mean, Germans are very much in love with Ayurveda.
So, Christine, if someone wants to help the animals in Sri Lanka, but not necessarily have a lot of money to donate, let's say, how can they contribute?
You can live much better on your pension amount in Sri Lanka than you could in Europe or North America or Canada.
What you love about Sri Lanka and why would you...
Sorry, that was my cat. He decided that. Sorry, my cat. No, sweetheart. Oh, no. Kalu, bahine, sweetheart, bahine. Because for me, Sri Lanka is my home. I'm not here for 3 weeks to enjoy the beach. I am here to live here, and this is my home.
Hi, Christine. Welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited to have you. Please introduce yourself to our viewers.
Hi, Lena. It's lovely to speak to you. I'm Christine. I'm originally from Germany. I have been living in Sri Lanka for 7 years now. It was my 7-year anniversary 3 days ago.
Wow.
Full time. So I'm not one of those people who lives here only half the year or several months. I live in Sri Lanka full time. And I came to Sri Lanka 7 years ago with the aim of adopting some animals. And I currently have 32 animals living with me as my
32.
family. Yes, 32. That's a lot.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, 32 fur babies. Impressive. So, Christine, can I ask you before that, how many countries you have traveled?
Oh, I don't know off the top of my head. I traveled maybe to 40 countries, and
40, wow.
I've worked in about, I would say, 17 or 18 countries. So
Okay.
yes,
Any Asian
I'm
countries
fairly
included?
Yes, I've traveled. I mean, I worked in India and in Korea. Yeah, that's it. I've traveled quite extensively also in Thailand. Oh, I worked in Thailand also, and I've traveled in Thailand and in Vietnam. Yeah, so
Many beautiful places you've been to.
many beautiful places. Yes.
Yes. So, Christine, let's go back to when you first came and how was your impression, and from then.
Okay, so the first time I came to Sri Lanka, I came for an Ayurveda cure. And I was living in India at the time. I came because my mother was taking a cure here. And I thought, oh, it's so close. I'm working in the south of India. I'll just come for a long weekend. Little realizing that it is a long, long journey anyway. And my very first impression of Sri Lanka on the way from the airport to the south, the resort was near Galle. My very first impression was, oh, this is a rich country. It reminded me a lot of Kerala because, of course, in India, we were seeing like a whole different kind of poverty. So compared to what I was used to seeing, Sri Lanka appeared to me to be a very wealthy country.
Okay. So your mother is still here with in Sri Lanka with you?
My mother is in Sri Lanka with me now. I brought her here 4 years ago, and so the last 4 years she's been living with me. Yes.
Okay.
And she's getting very good care. Yeah, I mean, she spends a lot of time outside. She's getting good food. I find that Sri Lankan people are very, very nice and caring with elderly people because they have a lot of respect for elderly people. So I have some help, I have some carers, and she's in very good hands. She's enjoying the sunshine. She's sitting outside a lot, and she's very, very happy to be here.
That's lovely to hear. So, Christine, the first time you came to Sri Lanka, then onwards, how did you find the culture, the food, the weather, and everything else? I mean,
Well,
in terms of weather, probably you're already familiar since you've traveled to similar tropical countries. Yeah, what about the nature and everything else? Just share your
Well, I
experience.
mean, it's very, very, I mean, it's very beautiful. The drive, I mean, even just the drive down from the airport to down south, even though a lot of it is now on the highway, I think it probably was even more beautiful when we were traveling down the Galle Road. But you
Mm-hmm.
see so much jungle. It's very beautiful. So it, yeah, it was really nice, a very lush, beautiful nature. And yeah, it was to me, I mean, it was very clear to me that there's a lot of tourism. It's a very touristy kind of country.
Mm-hmm.
And which is a good thing in a way, because it means um that I thought this is a good place to settle, because it's a good place to feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
um, and because people are used to interacting with tourists, people are used to
Yeah,
interacting
with
with Westerners,
foreigners.
people are used to yes, interacting with women traveling alone. So yeah, I mean the weather, I was used to the weather. It doesn't mean I don't still find it hard. I do still find it hard. I still find the humidity an enormous challenge.
Mm.
Even though I did work for a while in Singapore, which is even worse.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
but yeah, but I'm still finding the weather a challenge, but I was
Mm.
used to it. The food, of course, is lovely. I don't really eat very spicy food, which is a little bit of a
Mm.
problem because of stomach ulcers.
Mm.
But other than that, I love the food. There are lots of things that I do love. There are lots of things that I do eat and can eat, although some things are also a little bit of a challenge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I think when it comes to fruits, tropical fruits, I'm sure you are having a feast.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, yes. And I mean, and the lovely thing is that you can have those fruits directly in your garden. I have some
Yeah.
mango trees in my garden. This house,
Mm.
sadly, I don't have a papaya tree. So that is lovely, and that is a feast. Although, of course, there is always two sides to
Mm.
anything. I love the fact that I can have all the fresh tropical fruits, but of course, I miss good German apples, because you may not know this, but German apples are probably the best apples in the world. German apples and
Mm.
French apples, yes. And the apples that we can buy here from New Zealand or China, they pale in comparison. And also good German pears. I really miss apples and pears. And I
Mm-hmm.
do miss berries. I miss like good old Northern European berries a lot. So
Mm-hmm.
it swings and roundabouts, isn't it? You can't have everything
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yes, yes. Okay, I'm gonna put that to test. I'm gonna try German apple and New Zealand apple today and see. And I'll let you know.
Ah,
Um,
yeah, no, but we have the biggest variety, and
mm,
we have a lot of like really firm, not too sour, not like Granny Smith sour, but a little bit
mhm.
like firm apples. Yeah, and I mean, and you do the Chinese ones are the worst. They taste of nothing.
I'm not a big fan of apple, but yes, I like this French apple, which is very crispy. I like it and sweet.
Yes,
I like that, yeah. So,
yes.
Christine, okay, so now that you're living there for so many years, you're almost one of us. What is your comment about the facilities and the comfort of living there? Is it comfortable or not? And healthcare and other things. Overall life in Sri Lanka.
I mean, overall, life in Sri Lanka is it's both difficult and easy.
Mhm.
I mean, it's lovely. I mean, the weather is nice, the people are nice. Of course, I mean, that's why a lot of pensioners come here,
Mm,
because, of course, you can live much better on your pension amount in Sri Lanka than you could in Europe
in
or North
mm,
America or Canada. You can do a lot of different things. People are mostly kind and helpful. So there is that. Then, of course, the weather is a challenge. The healthcare, I think, is pretty good. I don't really use the healthcare system a lot, but yes, I mean, it is. I think overall, it is pretty good. It's pretty efficient. What's very good that for local people, at least, healthcare hospitals are mostly free. I mean, for foreigners, mostly most foreigners tend to go to the private hospitals.
Right. Yeah.
And of course, and there are some fees, but it's reasonably priced and it's available. So I think there is pretty good healthcare, which of course is another reason why a lot of pensioners come here, because they do get good healthcare and they're looked after. I think one issue that we're facing at the moment, which I'm hoping is going to be a temporary issue, is the fact that there is a visa issue at the moment, that the government is not renewing residence visas. So a lot of people are struggling at the moment because residence visas aren't getting renewed. And I think, I mean, I'm seeing this in my surroundings. A lot of people are leaving because because they are insecure about the status of their life in Sri Lanka. So this is rather unfortunate. I am hoping it's a temporary issue. I mean, I know that this is connected with the government trying to crack down on corruption and some issues from the past. And I am hoping that proper residence visa will be issued again. But at the moment, this is a little bit of an issue that the foreigners are facing. Because our status is a little bit uncertain at the moment.
So far, in my observation, Christine, I read in different places that some businesses, not all, but some businesses are registered not through the registration body, the proper registration body with the government. So I feel like that's why, like you said, probably they're cracking down on illegal activities. Then hopefully everything will get back to normal. And I also heard that some good visa systems are coming, like they have in Thailand or Malaysia. So fingers crossed, let's hope.
Fingers crossed, let's hope so. Yes, I am really hopeful that once this situation is resolved, that we will get visa for maybe 2 years or 5 years, and so that we don't all have to renew our visa every year. But at the moment it's a little bit up in the air. So let's hope to get that situation resolved quickly.
Yeah, let's hope. So Christine, coming back to the healthcare, you said your mother and also you have practiced Ayurveda treatments, right?
Yes.
How do you find that in Sri Lanka?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very good if you know where to go. It's a little bit because there is such a huge Ayurveda tourism, especially from Germany. I mean, Germans are very much in love with Ayurveda. And because there is such a huge Ayurveda tourism, I think some people have jumped on the bandwagon. There are a lot of like little Ayurveda shops on the roadside, which can be, I imagine, of dubious quality. But there are, but any Ayurveda facility that is approved by the correct government bodies, the standard is very high. And we have a lot of very good Ayurveda doctors. I mean, I do this also with myself and my mother. I have Ayurveda doctors coming to the house to look after her. So I think the standard is very high, and I think that is really something that Sri Lanka has to offer, this kind of health tourism also. And a lot of people are actually living here. Yeah, a lot of people are here on medical visa. A lot of people are living here for medical reasons because they are partaking in Ayurveda kind of year round.
Okay. Yeah. I would like to add something. My late father was an Ayurvedic doctor, registered,
Ah,
and we only had a shop, but mostly catering towards the locals. It wasn't up to the tourist standards. But if I ask you, Christine, for viewers who are watching this, who are interested in Ayurveda, when the places which cater towards the tourist population, how do you advise them to find the right one, based on which criteria?
I mean, I think the first criteria is it approved by the health authorities? I mean, there are government bodies
Mm.
that are approving the facilities, right? So I think that is the first criteria. The other criteria, I think, if you're looking for, if you're traveling to Sri Lanka because you're looking for Ayurveda, um, stay clear of facilities that are um, offering like that are a normal hotel and an
Mm-hmm.
Ayurveda hotel rolled in one. I mean,
Mm.
I would steer clear of those facilities because for Ayurveda, I mean, you need peace and quiet.
Yes.
You need to be a little bit withdrawn. I mean, you
Mm.
are covered in oil. Some of the Ayurvedic oils are they're marvelously effective, but they don't smell so great. So, I mean, you are covered in colored and smelly oils half the
Mm.
day, and
Mm.
you need a special diet. And to combine that, and to be like with regular hotel guests who are on a holiday and they're eating maybe lots of meat from the barbecue, to me, that seems to be like such a bad idea
Mm.
that I mean I don't have any proof, but then I think that the Ayurveda that is offered is probably less authentic, but also the people who need the Ayurveda are not getting the right kind of quiet and seclusion. I mean, sometimes those
Mm.
hotels I think have two separate areas, but you can probably still hear the people, the party goers, and smell God knows what. So yeah,
Mm.
those things. I think also, I mean, just look at the website, see what they're offering. I mean, see if they are offering like a proper panchakarma. Um, you
Mm.
know, um, I mean, I think there are some facilities that are almost like a spa version of Ayurveda, but
Mm.
which I guess can be nice also, but
Mm-hmm.
then you're not going to get the real health benefits. So
Mm.
I think
Yeah.
that, yeah, and I think if you look at the website, like bearing those things in mind, and just look, I mean, because the ones that are government approved, they will display that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
They
Okay.
will
Thank you.
they will display their government certificate, and that's
Mm-hmm.
something to look out for, definitely.
Yeah, that's a good tip. Um, Being there, I mean, being in this Ayurvedic setup, I'll tell you, the smelly it is, the good it can be, like, but there is no additional fragrant oils, it's good.
Yeah. So I know that, but what I'm saying is if you're like that, you don't want to be mixing with the people
Mm,
who are coming to lunch or dinner in their fancy clothes when you are wearing
yeah.
like your old clothes because as you know, the Ayurveda oil gets everywhere. Oh, I mean, yes,
Stain,
of
yeah.
course. Yes, of course. But I mean, but a lot of it, and I mean, a lot of it does stain, and it
Mm,
doesn't smell so great. Of course, they are very, very effective. I'm a big fan of all natural medicine. So
mm,
yes, I'm a big fan of Ayurveda, and I mean, I use Ayurvedic herbs and Ayurvedic preparations and pills a lot myself.
yeah, great. So, Christine, what do you think about the infrastructure and the availability of goods, probably from Europe or other parts of the world? Do you get them easily in down south where you live, or when you drive to Colombo sometimes?
I mean, I think everything is available. I live fairly close to Galle, and we have some big supermarkets that
Mm-hmm.
stock all the European goodies, everything that everybody craves at a high price. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, I am also a great fan of sustainability. So, I mean, try I personally try to limit, my use and my purchase of imported goods. Because, I mean, I am in Sri Lanka. I am going to try and eat more local food. I don't need to eat cheese every day. I mean, I do buy cheese every now and again. I buy like Parmesan cheese every now and again. But I mean, I don't need, I mean, I don't need to be eating cheese every day and all the European goods. I mean, these things become, when you live here, these things become luxuries to be enjoyed every now and again, because we have everything. I mean, I see a lot of people, for instance, going to the shops and buying like Italian coffee, which to me makes no sense whatsoever. We have excellent Sri Lankan coffee.
Coffee, yes.
There is absolutely no reason or no need to be buying Lavazza coffee, that's been flown in from Italy, when we have excellent Sri Lankan coffee. So I do try to live as sustainably as possible. I do try to buy as local as possible. And I do try to treat those things that we don't get here as luxuries and buy them every now and again only, and not very often. But they are available.
Okay, yeah, availability is good. Speaking of coffee, Christine, I remember I had a friend from Kandy. Her grandmother used to grow coffee in her backyard and grind them with different spices. Like one is has a flavor of cardamom. One has, what's the other one? The cilantro. I forgot the name.
Really, cilantro
Coriander.
in coffee?
Yes,
coriander. Wow, that's
Yes.
unusual. Yeah.
And the other one is a little bit of with a little bit of green unripe pepper pods,
Okay.
It's unbelievably aromatic and tasty, so it's so fresh. I don't know if you can get it from the shops though, but I think people from Kandy have this habit of flavoring their coffees, which I find
I
it
mean,
very
you get the island coffee. They come in various varieties. The island coffee,
okay.
the normal Sri Lankan coffee. A lot of it was with ginger and other things. Although for me that is not strong enough. I mean, I buy different coffees. I buy coffee with a stronger roast. I buy coffee that is roasted in the Italian or French way, that is like espresso roast. But I also mix flavors. I mean, this is something I learned from my grandmother. That with coffee, you always add, I mean, and this is like the traditional German way, where you put a filter on top of your coffee pot and you fill it up with water. But I learned from my grandmother that to coffee, you add a pinch of salt and you add a pinch of cinnamon and you add like half a teaspoonful of good quality cocoa powder. So I learned this, and I mean here, so I've always done that. But here I often add a spice mix of cardamom, cinnamon, yes, pepper. One of the shops here has a lovely it's called Arabic spices. It's like 7 spices, and I add that to my coffee. I think that it makes for a really soft, smooth coffee. So yes, I'm all in favor, and I'm very much in favor of adding cardamom to coffee, because cardamom gives it a really good texture, and ginger, of course, also, and cinnamon, of course. I mean, in Sri Lanka, you have to add cinnamon to everything.
Yeah. And we have coffee and tea both with ginger. I don't know. We have this obsession with ginger, something that we cannot get rid of. So, Christine, coming to the present moment, you have so many pets, yeah? I hope those are rescued. Can you tell us about the work you're doing in animal welfare and about your career? Or let's tell us what you do.
Yeah, well, they're not really pets because they are family members. I don't have any human children, so they are my children. Yes, of course, they are all rescues. Of course, they're all rescues. And then, I mean, I wouldn't really say that I do work, because I've stopped rescuing at the express wishes of the animals. I'm currently like in the last stages of studying to be an animal communicator. Which is very useful, of course, to be able to speak to them. But the first thing they said when I started speaking to them is they said, listen, there are too many of us. We don't want any more, because every new addition to the family, it brings a different energy. We're just getting used to it. So I had to promise not to bring any more. So there is a stop. So so at the moment I'm not really working with animals anymore. I just have them and I take care of them. I'm working with animals in the sense that people come to me sometimes, asking for health tips, because I work with essential oils and I can help them with their animals, or they ask me to speak to their animals as an animal communicator. But I am not actively rescuing anymore. I did do that for a while, but there are a lot of organizations in Sri Lanka, a lot of charities, all in desperate needs of funding and donation, by the way, who do that and who go out and rescue animals, they have like tuk-tuks usually, or cars where they drive around and they take animals off the street and they bring them in for neutering and vaccination, and then they bring them back to their place where they were found, because this is very important, because street dogs actually are not necessarily to be pitied. If they are fed and they get medical care, they can be quite happy, and they live in packs and they want to be there, but they should be treated. They should be vaccinated, and of course they should be neutered. So there are lots of organizations, small and large, in Sri Lanka, who are doing sterling work in that respect. And hats off to them. But for me, I'm kind of more or less a little bit retired from that work, because I'm not allowed at this moment in time to go and rescue anymore.
So, Christine, if someone wants to help the animals in Sri Lanka, but not necessarily have a lot of money to donate, let's say, how can they contribute?
They can contribute, for instance, by applying for a volunteer visa. If they have contacted the relevant groups beforehand, they can help, of course, by raising awareness. And getting the word out there. This is something that's very good and very important. They can definitely help by agreeing to bring small amounts of medication from their home countries, because we do not really have any veterinary medication in this country, or very, very little. But mostly they can volunteer to accompany animals on their way to European countries, because it happens a lot that somebody visits Sri Lanka, falls in love with an animal, a cat or a dog, and wants to bring it home. And it takes a while for all the paperwork, by which time the people are usually already back home. And then if somebody else agrees to meet the animal at the airport and hands it over to the handlers who put it in the hold, and then picks the animal up again at their flight destination, and then hands it over to the parents, so to speak, or the adopters who are there for the animal. It's a very simple thing, but it helps a lot of animals go to adopted parents. It helps a lot of animals go to homes in other countries. And that's a really, really good service that people can do.
It really is, yeah. But I want to say to our viewers, if you cannot do any of this, just visit one or some and make content, give awareness about the place at least, yeah, and post it on social media, so people, those who can help, might see it, get some exposure. Yes. Okay, Christine. Now, someone from abroad visits Sri Lanka, falls in love with the island, and they are thinking of, should I move here? What advice would you give to these people?
The advice that I would give to people is test it first. I mean, don't fall in love when you're on holiday, and then sell up in your home country and move here lock, stock, and barrel.
True.
That is not clever, because I mean, being on holiday is one thing and living in a country is a whole different kettle of fish. So, I mean, I would advise everybody to seek a sabbatical from work, to come for at least 3 or 4 months, and live here for 3 or 4 months. And in that time, try and make the relevant contacts. If you want to buy something, or if you have an idea of opening a business, try and make contacts, try and find a lawyer who can help you. And really, I mean, live here, see what it's like to live here. Of course, it's still not the real thing, because you're probably not going to be working. But it's different. It's more of a daily life. If you're doing a round trip or you're having a beach holiday, that's not the same as running around, maybe dealing with authorities, maybe dealing with immigration. So that is my advice: is get in touch with as many people as you can, but also live here for at least 3 or 4 months in one place and test it.
Possibly not a 5-star residence, but amongst the people, amongst the locals, so you get the real experience.
Yeah. I mean, try and emulate the lifestyle that you are then thinking to live while you're here. Yeah. Because I mean, it really depends, because I mean, this is something that often gets asked, is like, how much does it cost to live in Sri Lanka? And then I like to ask people, how long is a piece of string? Because there is no answer to that. I said, how much does it cost to live in Sri Lanka? Depends very, very much on what is your lifestyle. What is the lifestyle you're expecting? Do you have a family? Do you have children who are going to school? Because that determines where you want to settle, right? And that, and so that's the thing, isn't it? Think about what your lifestyle is, what lifestyle you want, and then try and emulate that lifestyle for 3 or 4 months, and see how you get on. Because it's true that people still think, oh, it's going to be really, really cheap living in Sri Lanka, and of course, and while you're traveling, it's cute to go everywhere on the local bus and to eat only Sri Lankan food for 3 weeks, but you may not want to do that for 10 or 15 years. So I think that's really important, isn't it? Is to just
Very
test
important. It. Yes, that's right. So Christine, as a woman, do you think Sri Lanka is safe? I see we are making headlines everywhere, but as a Sri Lankan woman, I would say it's not perfect. Expect some errors. But I would like to ask people who live there, what do you think? Is it safe for women?
I mean, is it safe anywhere for women? But I think I would say it's definitely less safe than living in Europe. I mean, like at home in Berlin, I will walk on the street at 3 o'clock in the morning, with never a thought for my safety. I certainly would not advocate doing that in Sri Lanka, because I mean, it really depends. Things are very different after dark. After dark, you see very few Sri Lankan ladies on the street. So after dark, you need to have another level of awareness. I think it all depends on your level of awareness and how you comport yourself. So yes, I mean, do not walk after dark on your own if you can avoid. I mean, avoid it.
What about in day-to-day life? Just going to the supermarket, running your errands, working there, using public transport and such.
I mean, I think overall it's fairly safe, but I would say expect more harassment than you would in Europe, right? I mean, if you're traveling on local transport, I mean, do expect a certain amount of harassment, and know how to deal with it. Because yes, if you are going on the crowded bus or going on the train, you will experience a certain degree of harassment. I always find that, I mean, I will always say that with a very loud, firm voice, I will say, please remove your hand from my body, because it shames the perpetrators. It also shows Sri Lankan women that you can stand up against this kind of behavior, because a lot of Sri
Yes.
Lankan women tend to be ashamed if
Yes.
somebody is touching them. And I think, well, hang on a
Because of
second. I
the
mean,
victim blaming.
yes, yeah. So, I mean, it definitely happens more than you would be expecting in Europe. That's for sure. Part of the reason, I think, is also because, like all Asian countries, Sri Lanka is a very conservative country, but we have a lot of tourism, and we are seeing, I mean, you know, and we are seeing the tourists walking in, like in bikinis and everything, and which is perfectly fair enough. I mean, they're on holiday, but it gives, somehow it seems to give an impression that anything goes with foreign women. That's a shame. So yeah, so I think I think that that's a little bit of an issue. But overall, I mean, overall, yes, expect more harassment than you would in Europe, but it is manageable. I mean, it is manageable if you're careful, but you've got to be, you've got to exercise, you have got to exercise caution, and you have got to be careful.
Yeah, which applies to anywhere in the world now, I think.
It does
For
apply to
women.
anywhere.
Yeah.
Exactly. It
But
does
it
apply
is
to anywhere in
true
the world.
that
Yeah.
But it is true that as a Sri Lankan, I can say culturally, there is a lot of victim blaming happening. The mothers should teach their sons to respect instead of blame them on what other people wear. Yeah, so some changes has to happen.
Some changes do have to happen. And I think this is a tiny little bit an issue in other Asian countries also. I mean, not only in Asian countries, in other countries also, but that is a little bit of a problem, that the sons are so revered. They are so revered, you know, and almost like gods, and they are catered for, and they don't have to help in the household, and whatnot. And they are, yeah, and yeah, and this is, I think, this is a huge task for any Sri Lankan mother with a son. You know, how to raise your sons right.
Yes.
Yeah.
This episode, I want to ask you overall, what you love about Sri Lanka and why would you?
Sorry, that was my cat. He decided that. Sorry, my cat decided to move the screen.
It's
My
curious.
Kalu.
So, Christine, to wrap up this episode, can you tell us overall what you love about Sri Lanka and why you would still choose to spend the rest of your life with us?
Well, I mean, I do love the weather. I do love that there is a certain ease of life here. You know, even though some things can be a bigger challenge, but there is a certain ease of life. It's warm. I really don't miss the German winters. And yeah, and I mean, for me, the main factor, of course, is my kids, because I am here with my animals. They are there. I am going to be where they are. But yeah, no, but there is a certain ease of life. It's quite nice. It's lovely to be able to go to the beach whenever you want. It is nice to be yeah, it is nice to be in a sunny country. It is nice to be in a country where people overall, even in hard times, overall try to make the best of things and try to be as happy as they can. And I mean, like every country has its good or bad sides, of course. But I mean, you know, but overall, I think Sri Lanka is a good country to live. If we get even better visa, if we get an even better status, as far as, and also, I mean, I think Sri Lanka also needs people who are returning from abroad and foreigners to live here, because we do have an economic crisis. And we do have an economic crisis. We do have a need here of better, more thorough education. We do have a need here for people to be educated to think independently, because in schools still people are being taught to listen and absorb, but not to question. And I think, to me, this is also one of the tasks that we have as foreigners in this country, is to help to educate about sustainability, about the environment, about kindness to animals, about not bottling up your emotions and repressing your emotions, but talking about your emotions, for better mental health, because mental health also in a lot of Asian countries is a little bit of a problem, because a lot of things are quite taboo. So I think we have also a task to bring those things to people. We have a task when we live here to try to employ people and create stable work environments, give good salaries, and just but also I think very much educational, and help people and play a part in this country, actively play a role in this country to bring Sri Lanka further, into the 21st century and further, into a population that is aware and confident and not, like this.
Yeah, that's the reason behind starting this channel. So people who are hesitant, I'm talking about the Sri Lankans who are abroad at least, because foreigners might choose to live in Sri Lanka for different reasons, but the Sri Lankans who come back, they come with skills they learned and observations they had in wherever they lived, how other people live, and we can add so much to Sri Lanka, hopefully. Yeah, that's why. So Christine, so lovely to have you. It was a very interesting conversation. We learned a lot from you, and good luck with everything, and have a nice day.
Thank you very much, Lina. It was lovely to talk to you, and I hope that we can attract more people who want to actively participate in the life of this country. And I hope that we can entice more people who have settled abroad to come back here, because there is work to be done. And it's great. I mean, I think tourism is great for people to come and enjoy the beaches. But I think, I think what Sri Lanka needs more is people who are willing to stay and be active and be a part of this country. Because for me, Sri Lanka is my home. I'm not here for 3 weeks to enjoy the beach. I am here to live here, and this is my home. And so, I give my heart to this country.
Thank you, Christine. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Lina. Thank you very much.